morning. Yesterday we got our hands on the Hagee and somewhat figured it out. Today is spray day. Since I'm not super confident in my operating ability yet, I slept in about 30 minutes today so we could have a little bit of sunshine before we took the sprayer out. All the planting equipment is parked over in Etna, so the only thing at the main farm is the tanker and the sprayer.
Yesterday we made a few changes to get this ready to rock and roll. I'm gonna do one more pass of just water in the tank with the size 6 nozzles, kind of like I have my training wheels on, just to see exactly what I need to be doing when I'm out spraying, because once I put legitimate product in the tank, the game is on and I don't wanna make mistakes.
Where are the lights on this thing? Right here? No, that's a turn light. Oh, that's a windshield wiper. Oh, there's a light switch right in front of us. Alrighty, looks like we are ready to hit the road. I'm not as nervous about operating this today as I was yesterday. I don't know if it was the full night's rest or what, but I'm more confident in my abilities. I guess the demonstration from the Hagee salesman probably didn't hurt the case of my confidence. I think we're gonna have to reboot real quick. Not a good start. We're already rebooting. We're gonna mosey our way out to this field behind the farm that's not worked or planted, spray some water out there and figure out how to operate this thing. The folding is easy. It's automatic. Didn't know that. You just hold these two buttons, make sure you're clear of power lines, and let it just unfurl. While it does that, we're gonna turn on our boom height control. Okay, we're live there. This is a lot farther than I got in a much longer span of time yesterday. Now we can charge our boom, flip this to manual, run our pump up a little bit. So with the pump on and on manual, now if I just hit the green button, it will spray. This is what you would call the priming part of the process, because you're technically not ready to spray yet. You want to make sure you've got good coverage on all your boom. Alright, we're just going to put the hammer down and see if we can figure out how to do this. I already tried my boom. I figured out what is screwing with me driving this. It's the all-wheel steer. When I'm going around the corners and stuff, it makes this thing almost crab walk, it feels like. And as someone who drives just a single point steering vehicle, it is a weird adjustment. I think that's why I get a lot more comfortable once I'm going over the shutoff speed for the all-wheel steer, which is adjustable. I've got it set to like 8 mile an hour shutoff right now. Once it's off, I can drive this thing perfectly fine. I do notice I have a few nozzles here and there that are either plugged, or the actual nozzle body itself, the valve, the hydrant, I don't know what you call it. It may be bad. I think that's a pretty simple fix. The slow speeds that are killing me. And all the washes in this unworked field. I've only scraped my boom twice. I can't actually tell how far my boom is over there to the end. If I had something in here that would hurt grass, I may be a little concerned. So we're starting with Zidua. Not gonna hurt anything. I'm gonna pop into my speed settings and not change them right now. I must not be able to do it while I'm moving. I'm gonna move the top speed up to 18 mile an hour. This is where the tip size really comes into play. These smaller size 6 tips allow me to go a little bit slower and maintain a spray pattern. The bigger size 8 tips allow me to go really fast, especially if I'm carrying a high carrier volume of product I'm applying. One other thing I can do is actually shut my all-wheel steer off earlier. So I had it at 7.9. We can back that down to 4.5 miles an hour. So as long as I'm not creeping, all-wheel steer will be off. And it seems like without it on, I'm a really good driver. With it on, I'm about as blind as a bat, technically speaking. I can see, but I'm just not steering very well. And I just punch this button on the back to slow the speed sensitivity setting down, or the top speed, hit a bump, pop the button again, a couple times, we're back at 18 mile an hour. This wasn't a good training field. There's still a lot of washes that need filled in through here. And I'm trying to pay attention to things and do a million different things at once. I'm gonna spray a little bit more out of this tank, and then I'm gonna turn the thing on manual, go out and spray water across the boom, and check and see what I've got going on. Okay, let's evaluate this boom real quick, set the parking brake, turn the pump on manual, and then we're gonna run this up a little bit, not very much. I mean, I'm gonna do probably about 40 pounds. How much water we got? We got enough. Once I turn on my master control switch, water's gonna go through the boom. I'm gonna hop out really quickly and see if I need to replace any nozzle bodies or nozzle tips. Okay, definitely got an issue on this one. Taking a photo. It's either loose or I don't know what. If I hadn't taken a shower last night, I could just hop right under this. Don't need it though. Probably be good for me though. I got some of that graphite in my face the other day and it was horrible. I better run and shut this off before the pump goes dry. It is a little difficult to see this front row because it's blocked by the actual boom itself. Everything else you can see crystal clear. I walked around, noticed this tip wasn't working that well. Looked at it, very clear case of just a clogged tip. The question is, can I get that out or do I have to replace this tip already? This is one of the disadvantages of the smaller tips. They are more prone to plugging. You can go slower with them and maintain good coverage at the cost of a smaller hole size. That smaller hole means it takes smaller objects to plug it. Anything can plug it really, I guess, big ones too. These big ones are much more likely to just send the object through. I would venture to say that maybe that there was just some dirt in this one or something, because like right here in this size 8 tip that I had on here earlier, there's a little bit of a plug. So I'm probably just gonna put a new one on there. Don't forget about that. We'll do that later. Time for our daily trip to Alliance Tractor. If we've only got to make one stop there, that's a pretty good day. Headed back from the dealership, they had 5 of those 5-way nozzle body barb deals. I still don't know the technical name for them. They came in genuine John Deere boxes, which means I'm probably getting absolutely hosed on the price. I hate to say it, I'm getting fairly confident, so we're gonna go ahead and start stirring the back tank here. All of this has been sitting for over 24 hours. I doubt that it's really settled that much, but we're gonna start agitating by the time I get these nozzle bodies fixed, spray out the rest of it. This is gonna have plenty of agitation in it. As a matter of fact, I think you can actually see the product seems denser here on the bottom. I don't know if that's an optical illusion or what, but we're gonna start, shouldn't be an issue. Back agitation line is green because the back valve is green. They're both good to go. We're gonna go ahead and fire the pump up and see what we got. Yeah, it probably needs choked first thing in the morning. Oh yeah, that won't take long to mix that up. It is foaming a little bit, so I'm gonna go get that defoamer they gave me at Helena, shoot a squirt in there. Doug at Helena didn't really give me a specific amount. He just said a squirt. Let's go fix our sprayer boom. The mechanic said if any of them are shooting liquid out this blow-off valve on the side, he'd probably just go ahead and replace them. So this one on the center was giving me some issues. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pop this off. We'll reuse the screw, move our nozzles over, call it good. They're pretty simple. They just barb onto this stainless steel pipe. Heck, the hardest part's knowing which way to turn it. This nozzle body here was used. I assume he gave it to me free with the purchase of a $400,000 sprayer. This is the one that dirtied up 2 of those tips, so I'm just gonna take it off. I probably could clean it out and use it, but it definitely has debris in it. This is a brand new one. It even comes with caps. I asked him why they all have these, especially on the ones that are on here. He said that these caps are to keep the dirt out of them, which makes sense. So I probably need to cap off the ones I'm not using. The Hagee mechanic was pretty confident that on the end of this section, it's not the plastic pieces that's bad, it is the barbs that I've been replacing. I sure hope so, because Alliance Tractor's out of these carrier pieces. Not gonna have one till this afternoon. I'm gonna go ahead and put this new end on, and we're gonna fire a sprayer up, see what she does. Drop my bit. I was worried that my great-great-grandson would be the one finding that one in a tire. Heck, I find wrenches that have no business being out in some of these fields. Could have only gotten there from one of my ancestors losing it. All right, just gotta put my nozzle tips on and then we're ready to go. I guess if you see anything out of the ordinary, give me a shout. I'm gonna fire this up. one over here that needs change. This one needs change. We're trying to mark them. And it looks to me like the entire far side of the boom's in great shape. I don't know. I think I just got 5. I've used 3 so far. So do that, we're gonna be ready to rock and roll. I'd say that spot's gonna need a couple days to dry. Someone spilled some water there. Fortunately, we've got 2 left, so I wouldn't say perfect because I like to have extra staff, but better not. I wasn't nervous first thing. Now I'm starting to get a little anxious again. Time for the real deal. That, and I haven't even loaded out of this tanker yet, so that'll be a whole nother learning process in itself. As they say, first date, kind of nervous. It looks like our defoamer worked. I'm sure we're nice and mixed up now. I was about to get started, but then I realized I don't have my sprayer gloves on. Okay, once I got close to full, I idled this down. I cracked my agitation valve to give me somewhere to release the pressure the minute I shut the main fill valve off. Did all that. We've got 1,200 gallons. I kind of need to clean the sight gauge out because I can't really tell up there. Last thing we got to do, clean out the line. I always wondered what would happen if you overfilled it. I guess that is why that little valve is there. Don't have to worry about any water hemp there. Time to rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do our best to not mess anything up. We're starting on this 90-acre field, just field with long rows. Give me a little more experience. Okay, just put her out of road mode to field mode. Debating just turning off the all-wheel steer. This is very confident of me to start next to the neighbor's nice cattle fence. I mean, there's only downsides to starting here. Literally everyone I've talked to says if you have a sprayer, start in the back. Oh boy, I'm very nervous right now. Everything's ready. All right, well, there's no reason to prolong this at all. No time like the present. Okay, we're at 18 miles an hour, keeping 49 pounds of pressure, which is within the acceptable range. Putting down 15 gallons to the acre exactly. Thankfully, I have an auto steer line that I trust here because it's taking me next to the neighbor's house. The only person I have to blame if I hit it is myself. I'm coming up to the end here. I'm going to slow down in here. I got my hand on the green button, which is my master control switch. The minute I get to the neighbor's field, I'm just going to click that. Be done. Boom. I turn all-wheel steer on. I'm really not too good with that yet, but okay, I have a line here, I know that. South line, this is what I planted based on. Neighbors are going to have soybeans on the south. I'm spraying a soybean-friendly product. Probably not going to be that concerned about maybe hanging my boom over a tiny bit. Not going to drench them by any means, but a little bit's not going to hurt us. Master's on. We're giving her the stick. There goes the boom. Bumper up. Bumper up again. Might as well go 18. Got one nozzle. I can't tell if it's spraying or not. But the nice thing about 15-inch nozzles is actually that your coverage is pretty good between the nozzles, and if one's plugged, the rest will actually fan out over each other and still put product down. Beeping at me because I'm not going fast enough. Oh boy. It's gonna be pretty good. not go faster than this? Someone's coming by in a car. I'm gonna wait so they don't have to watch this monstrosity at work. Faster on. We're gonna give her the stick. Let's ride. Around the outside is by far the hardest part. Looks like we're keeping up pretty good, run 18 mile an hour right now. I do have a nozzle body that's bad, not super concerned about it. Like I said, we can handle one skip every now and then, and it's still putting liquid out, it's just not putting a pattern down. Okay, some kind of miracle's occurred. We've made it to our second fill up of the day. Let's try not to overdo it. I managed to overfill the sprayer again. Looks like those last couple of inches come up on you a lot quicker than you realize they will. So I'm gonna have to start slowing it down and shutting it off earlier. You live and you learn. Unfortunately, it's next to the road, and I doubt those beans will even come up. Finished our first field. I'm just not gonna look at this field for a couple of months because I don't wanna know how bad of a job I did. Just filled up for the 4th time. Starting to get that part figured out pretty good. I only spilled a little bit. I think it's because I purged the airline too quickly. Gotta spray a little bit more here, finish up a strip on a field where I ran out, and then I'm gonna be planting. All right, are you all ready for a cool party trick I've been working on? I tried this on a different one already and I messed it up. Oh, hey-oh! Yeah, needless to say, I'm about as good as some of those hotshot custom applicators. I haven't messed anything up yet, other than spilling product multiple times. Like pretty much everything else, I think once I get used to this, I should be pretty confident in my ability to operate it. It's kind of like when you just started driving vehicles when you turned 16 and cars and trucks all felt so strange. You thought, how in the world am I ever going to drive this? And then 15 years later, you're driving it almost with your eyes closed. Not really, but metaphorically speaking. I had the same nerves about driving a semi-truck, and now I can drive them like it's nothing else. So really just part of the learning process. I've been fighting this pre-existing issue because it did it the first time the salesman folded this up. This left boom is not unlatching, so I kind of have to shimmy it until it lets it go to fold. Kind of a pain in the butt. I imagine that that's not going to be my bill to pay because it came this way. It's supposed to come in operating condition. So I'm going to fold it up. What he did was just kind of fold it to try and get that pin to loosen up a little bit. Then restart the auto fold sequence. There we go. Shouldn't be that hard to do. The other field I had to do that like 10 different times to get it to go. Alrighty, we're finished up for the morning. Got about 300 acres or so, maybe not quite, 275 acres sprayed. Not the most productive day by regular sprayer operator standards. I think tomorrow, with my newfound comfort in this machine, I'll be able to have this knocked out in a couple of hours. To be honest, I'm kind of sad to go. I was starting to have a little bit of fun in this thing. Back to my day job, literally. Okay, we're taking off to cross Route 16, aka God's country. We've got some really good high productivity farms. Got my talc with me because our Pioneer dealer is generously volunteering some of his time to just use his seed tinder so we don't have to commit manpower to that project. Always appreciate that, and I didn't want to have to use his talc, so we got her off. Let's hit the road. This is service. We pick up most of our beans with RC tender, but the farm we're going to is just northwest of here, a half mile, so this is super convenient. It's especially generous of him to offer his time because he's absolutely swamped right now. There's a lot of customers he delivers seed to, which takes up a lot of time. He's a one-man show on the seed side, though Bruce Daly, who ran this Pioneer dealership alongside of him, does a lot of farming as well. So they're tied up farming. Wes moves seed around to their numerous customers, and we just happen to be one of them. They treat us pretty good here.
Always been happy with Pioneer beans. They're pretty good varieties. Genetics are strong there.
I will say that they probably should have checked the wind direction before they burn trash. It's literally blowing right into their lot, which is inconvenient.
Although yesterday when I was dumping out those seed tanks, I got a face full of that graphite, which I've been trying to avoid. And ironically, my lungs and throat hurt today. I didn't inhale it, but it blasted me so fast that there really wasn't much I could do.
This is full service. It is hard to beat this. And it never hurts to buy seed off of someone who flies an American flag high and proud.
Dry as it's getting and as quickly as it's probably drying out after that field cultivator, you got half an idea to put these beans in a half a hole deeper. This is the starting point. I know they're calling for 4/10 to a ½ inch of rain this weekend in the next couple of days, but you never want to be betting on a rain, especially when it's dry. I'm sure there's definitely some beans in dry dirt on some of our farms.
If it doesn't rain and we don't put these beans in the moisture now, we're really going to regret it. You can't put them deeper after the fact. Might as well just start them there. That's almost 120 units of soybeans between both tanks. I like these redesigned tanks. They fit a lot of beans.
Okay, appreciate Wes's time and service. Now let's go plant this field.
There's Katie working the south 46-acre field here, right on the other side of the big 100-acre field I'm going to plant first. That's the field that had the high-yielding Bex corn that I had to post-calibrate the yield because there was more acres there than I realized. Don't want to spook her.
Start your timers, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see how fast we can knock out this 107 acres. I just finished up my first pass along yin row. Of course, I didn't have my line centered good enough, so I got 4 foot I need to go back and clean up. Beans are in dry dirt, unfortunately.
The beans are 1.5 to 2 inches in the ground. We pulled some clouds up here. There's not a ton of moisture down here. Check and make sure that that downforce isn't too much. Nope, digging that up, no problem. I think we're just gonna stick with that, ladies and gentlemen.
I've been running salt on this farm for well over an hour now. I've got maybe 15 to 20 acres left. They'll be close on seed, which was by design, because we're switching to an Extend Flex bean after this. It doesn't need to be cleaned out because we're spraying everything with Liberty, but for the sake of simplicity and good side-by-sides, I do like to get as much of our 3-1 and less Pioneers out. I don't know about all of you, I'm exhausted. This 5 days in a row of getting up super early and running hard all day, no, not even running hard, sprinting through planting has completely drained me. The last pass of this field, and then we need to fill up with seed. Why are these units always planting low? Don't understand that, especially 9. It's like the slower I plant, the less population that goes down. Oh, no. This is the stuff that really starts to take its toll on you, especially after you've been working all day. It's a little tiring having to come back here and do this, but it's the nature of the beast.
I've literally got maybe 1/8 of a mile left. Our seed is nearly perfect. Got a little excess right here. And of course we've got this side that is empty. Wish me luck. Asking a lot out of those tanks sitting on them like that. I climbed in there and grabbed a second small bucket just for good measure. This should get us to the end, and then we're switching to a different bean, so that'd be about perfect. Put that back down so the blower will engage. There it goes. I've learned to give it 15 or 20 seconds before I pick it up because it needs that long to get seed to the units that were low. All right, let's see if we can make it to the end. There's only about 100 yards left. I'm going 7.8 miles an hour, but it's showing low population. I don't know if the seed sensors just can't keep up with the 160,000 plants per acre target or what. Alrighty, just shut the blower off. Should be golden. 3, 2, 1. Good job. There's Chris with our Bex 35, 55, 35 Extend Flex bean. Like I already said, the clean out had nothing to do with herbicide issues. We're going to spray this with Liberty, which won't kill our enlist beans. It really was just so I could have these two numbers side by side in a clean cut fashion. The farm I just finished with the 3-1 beans is our family's land. This 46, 47-ish acre field to the south is a landowner's. He's big on the Bex train, and we've had great luck with their corn here last year, making almost 265 dry. I tooted my horn too early talking about yields last year because I thought it was less acres than it was, and on a 40-some acre field, you take 4 or 5 acres out or into the equation, that has a huge swing on the final yield. Alrighty, let's load these Bex beans up. Fun fact, Bex is the only seed company in the industry that I know of that does not use 140,000 beans per unit. They use 130,000. I don't know if that's to sell more seed or confuse the farmer. I don't exactly enjoy the mental gymnastics of having to remember that when I'm calculating this up. No big deal, just kind of peculiar. Either Chris didn't get over far enough or I didn't back up enough, one of the two. He's realigning. Loaded with these Bex 3555 Extend Flex beans. Let's just hope that we're as dialed in on this as we were on the previous field. Coming down to the wire that minutely on a 107 acre field is actually pretty impressive. Okay, switch fields from Townley to Parsons. This landlord is heavily involved in the agronomic decision making on this farm. To put it simply, he's a huge believer in not overpopulating your beans, thinking that 140,000 on the dot is the exact number of beans you want out on the field. I personally think you need a little more room for error. That's why we go heavier, and of course the extra weed control. But it's his farm and he's a pretty knowledgeable guy. We'll definitely make that happen. I am going to 139 because I don't want to run out. 139 is a pretty happy medium. If I go to 140 and these happen to plant heavy, well, I'm kind of SOL because I don't have any more loose bags of these Extend Flex beans. And we are off. Bex beans going in the ground. Because we are putting 10% less population in the ground, it's even more important to make sure every single seed is exactly where it needs to be. I'm not against the 140,000. That's what a lot of people plant. I just like the room for error. I definitely agree that 140,000 is probably the most economical level to be at, assuming you get a full stand. Uh-oh, we got a bean on the ground. May need to run the downforce up. This is a nice seed trench here. My only concern is that these beans are, what, inch in the ground? I've got them set pretty deep. I think I could probably run my downforce up because I'm not feeling much compaction on the sidewall area. You just hate to put a lot more weight on. These dry clods on top are just killer. We are quite literally sitting right in the top millimeter of the wet zone. I can't say that that's a bad spot to be, just really, really hoping for a rain. This is the complicated question I have to ask myself all the time. Would I rather push the units against the ground harder, or would I rather put the units in the ground deeper? Both have their positives and negatives. As I've already mentioned, we don't want to compact the ground by having our gauge wheels just slammed against it. At the same time, we don't really want to be scratching much deeper than we are because there is some moisture under there. We don't want to push it out. Okay, judgment call. Put another 40 pounds of down pressure on and rolling on. Last year I planted about 5 foot on the neighbor to the west, so I'm trying not to get too close to him this year. I apologize to him. He wasn't upset, but I still hate to do that. What I don't get is right now I'm running 7-8, shooting for 8 miles an hour, but the automatic cruise control setting never really gets me there. And for the life of me, I cannot get the planter to plant a high enough population. It does better if I go faster, but doesn't really improve if I go any slower than this. I mean, you see it right there, showing 134. A few units on the left side in particular have been planting low since we got it. On that last field though, it came out to exactly the right amount of units used at the end of the day. The monitor didn't show that, but the leftovers in the tanks did based on the acreage. Ah, sunsets. Great for pictures, terrible for being able to see in a tractor in the evening. If you're headed towards the sun, good luck seeing anything. Okay, last pass of this field and probably last pass of the night. Field cultivator shut down. It's getting so dry out here that if they worked, even a couple hours ahead of me, we lose the moisture in the top couple inches. Really, after looking at all the ground that we hit with the vertical till and then followed with the field cultivator, I'm not too pleased with how it turned up. I don't know if we need to consider something else in the fall, go back to the rippers, but I'm just not sure the vertical till in the fall, followed by the field cultivator in the spring, is the ticket. Statistically, there's a pretty good chance that the next beans I plant are enlist, so I want to get my units as close to empty as possible. We're not going to waste any of the beans in the tank, so I'm going to pop it out of the ground, or just flick my lever actually, and make it so my blower fan shuts off. See if we can run these dry, and whatever's left, I'll take over to the first field that's enlist, because we'll be spraying the enlist field with enlist, and that will kill flex beans. But I could bring the enlist beans to the flex field because both of them are tolerant to Liberty, which I'll be spraying as our main herbicide on the extended flex field. I know, it's confusing. The real art to this is doing it in a manner that allows you to not have to plant out an excessive amount of beans in your field. It doesn't help me that I'm used to planting a thicker population, so the speed at which I run out is going to vary based on what population you're targeting. It's not all sunshine and roses out here, folks. Yes, I may have timed that pretty good. Probably only have to run out a little bit of seed. On the opposite side of the coin, I smoked this inlet right here. I didn't run it over, I just knocked it over with the edge of my planter. Now I can enjoy this nice Midwestern walkout to the inlet to stand it back up. It's not like I couldn't use a little exercise. Allie brought me McDonald's for dinner, so working that off slowly. Oh boy, we got a big old layer of dust on the planter and the tractor. It's dry on the top inch of the ground. All seems to end up everywhere else but the ground. Planting the rest of these out, and we're heading home. Alrighty, we're reading zeros. Time to go home. Look at all that dust on my rear fender. Jeez. Just ran over another frog. That is 2 nights in a row I've done that. Man, I do not have a good place in frog heaven, I can tell you that. But you go figure. I'm the last one home with my planter. It's not even that late, and I've got a whole nother set of herbicide in this tanker ready to go for first thing tomorrow. We've got a rain coming in tomorrow night, so we're gonna try to get at least our soybean residuals done. However much we get planted tomorrow, that is to be determined. We'll talk about that in a later date. Just like that, the forecast changes. I went to pull up my phone to tell you about the rain that they're calling for Saturday night, which is tomorrow night, and now it's not even in here. They are still calling for a little bit of a cool down. I'm not concerned about that. Our seeds are a couple inches in the ground, and we've got plenty of soil temperature to protect us. Another cool down coming here the week after, and there are some bigger chances of rain here. It's still really too early to tell if they're going to be large rains or not. There's 5/10 one day, ½ inch the next day, almost an inch the day after that. That combination right there would be a little more intimidating, followed by a cool down. So we may be a little more cautious planting Monday and Tuesday. Right now though, if this forecast verifies tomorrow, I don't see any reason why we're not going to keep the hammer down. Anyways, I'm going to end it here. I probably already mentioned already that I'm completely pooped at this point. I'll catch you guys all in the next episode. Until then, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!